who's also a candidate for governor here in the state of Rhode Island. Thank you for being with me here today.
Absolutely.
Pretty good. My first question is just a general question. What is it that made you want to get into politics and be politically involved?
I've always actually been involved in public service since the time I was in high school. But what actually motivated me to get involved in politics in Rhode Island was the Royal Mills. The Democrats in our town wanted to tear it down, and I thought that was the wrong way to go. So I got a group together and we saved the Royal Mills, which at one time was the largest cotton mill in the world. It's a beautiful building. It's such a part of our history and culture, and it needed to be saved. And it was savable, turns out. The damage was not nearly as bad as elected officials were leading the people to believe. So it is now been redeveloped. It is market rate apartments. It's a beautiful spot to live, and it has been a $70 million investment into our town. It's a good thing. I'm proud of it.
Now, in the State House, you're the minority leader.
I am the Republican leader.
Now, not too many people know the jobs in the House of Representatives. What is it that you do, your daily duties as the minority leader in the House?
So I manage the staff. I also help members of my caucus with bills and advocate for them when they need me to advocate for them with other elected officials, with the speaker. I help them develop ideas. That's about it.
Now, something I wanted to ask you about. According to the Providence Journal, fellow candidate Alan Fung has been hammering the election of Governor Mundo for her campaign. And what he claims that she blasted a message that Rhode Island is for sale. I want to know if I can get your thoughts on that, and do you think that he's correct on that?
I think Alan Fung has demonstrated the same pay-to-play politics that Governor Mundo has perfected. So I think he's right to criticize them, but I think he really needs to look in the mirror.
And now, if you were elected, what would you do to try to reverse the idea of Rhode Island for sale? What would you try to do to change the idea that people perceive?
More transparency, more accountability, more just making it clear to all of my department heads that is not how we're going to run government. Honestly, it is that soft corruption that is really hurting people in our state. I think the corruption in this state house, and I've had a front row seat to it now for 8 years, it's not criminal. We've had criminal corruption, and that's what sends people to jail. But there's also this soft corruption where you do a favor, where you give a better contract. In return, you get political allies, you get help on your campaign, you get campaign contributions, whatever. When we fought the Central Coventry Fire District and we went to the state police with what we thought were valid complaints about the fire board that was in place at that time, they had given contracts and benefits that average people could never even think about having. And we thought of that as corruption. The state police came back to me and said, well, it's really bad decision making. Well, that bad decision making is soft corruption. It is the pay-to-play politics that hurts our state and makes us, I believe, we're the 7th, 8th, 9th highest taxed state in the country, but it hurts every single one of us and diminishes our future, and it needs to stop. And you do that by having transparency, by having accountability, by having an ethics commission that really rules ethically. So I think there are things we can do, and I intend to do them. Set an example.
Now, if elected, What would you do with one of the big issues that's been affecting Rhode Island for a while now, like what we do in regards to everything that's been going on with that, what we do to fix it?
Yeah, I've been listening to, so we've had several hearings and had members from the administration, members from um, Deloitte come in, a lot of people, vendors that are affected by the UHIP debacle. So I've got a pretty good idea of what's going on there. I honestly think that Deloitte has failed our state, so I would fire Deloitte. They keep saying, oh, you can't, but every software engineer has to put notes into their software program so that another developer can see where they've been going and can take right up where they left off. But I have caught Deloitte in lying to us, and I think I can't tolerate a vendor that lies to elected officials. Beyond that, right now we have a 40-page application. Imagine filling out 40 pages. All you want are food stamps, but you got to fill out 40 pages. You've got to submit documents. You have to follow up. It's a lot to ask for simple people to do. As I look at it, we have the Health Source Rhode Island, and then we have two other kinds of programs. One are medical programs, and the other is cash assistance, food stamp programs, just kind of more money, more cash assistance kind of programs. Each of them requires different kind of documents. So if you're getting Medicaid or medical assistance, the documents you need basically are about your assets. How many assets do you have? On the other hand, if you need food stamps, cash assistance, help with your heating or your electricity, you need to verify your income. And it's because we married the two of them that we have this ungodly large application form. And we make the process really hard and onerous for everybody who has to use it. So I would break the program apart depending on the documents that need to be submitted for those programs. And I think it's basically you're going to separate medical from the other programs.
Now, another issue that I'd like to know what you would do if you were elected is the issue of McCoy Stadium, the Four Sox, the entire issue that's been going on with that. What would you do to keep them here in Rhode Island, hopefully Kentucky, but at least Rhode Island, to in order to keep hundreds of jobs that the stadium gives?
Well, the stadium only gives seasonal jobs. They're only in operation for 70 days a year. So it's really not hundreds of jobs. It is very seasonal jobs, and they're very part-time jobs. That being said, I don't think it's up. I think as a state, we have to figure out what our priorities are. Mind you, I would like the Paw Sox to stay, but I think it's up to the owners to pay for their own stadium. It is a private company. This is not something that we should be asking taxpayers to foot the bill for. If the owners decide they will pay for their own stadium, I would certainly, do the infrastructure like ramps from the interstates, some of that stuff. But I honestly don't believe taxpayers should be building them a stadium. They are billionaires. They are very savvy businessmen. They can build it themselves. They really don't. If you've got $1 billion, do you know how easy it is to borrow money? Unbelievably easy. They don't need our credit rating. They don't need taxpayers to backstop their loans. They should do it themselves.
Now, another question I want to get your thoughts on is Rhode Island is one of the only states that taxes the pensions of veterans.
Yes.
Now, if elected, would you try to change that? What would you try to do in regards to this issue?
Yeah, actually, it's in my platform. So I did put out a platform, and part of that was that I would eliminate state income tax on veterans' pensions. We're one of the only states in New England that still do it, and we lose some of our best military veterans. We're blessed to have the War College here. we're blessed to have a really thriving defense industry. Well, those retired military folks, they have the leadership skills, they have the specialized knowledge of our defense industry, of what our military needs. So I think we need to keep them here. Quite frankly, it would only cost $4 million from our budget. That's negative. Somebody said, oh, that's peanuts. I said, no, it's not peanuts. It's half a peanut. Our budget is $9.4 billion. $4 million is a rounding error. So I think we need to do this because I think it's important to keep them here. You know, we had a representative who said, let's pay people $10,000 to come to Rhode Island. Why don't we just keep our military here?
Now, another thing I wanted to touch upon is there have been a lot of school shootings throughout the entire country, and there was even a threat to shoot Cranston West recently. I want to get your thoughts on what should the state do to better prevent this from ever happening here in the state? Should they make stricter laws on gun control? What do you think they should do in regards to this?
You know, I think we really need to focus on school security. I've actually been wrangling, I guess is the word, with the Attorney General to get some of the rural settlement funds. We believe he has about $23 million left. There's 306 public schools. Every one of them would get $75,000. And with that, I think schools could upgrade their security measures based upon their own circumstances, but things like automatic locks, key swipe locks, bulletproof glass, sealed vestibules, entrance vestibules, training for teachers. Well, if I'm a teacher, I should be trained, okay, if there's an active shooter, what do I do with my students? Do I hide them? How do I best manage those children? So $75,000 would go a long way towards making our schools safer just by having security measures installed. Think about it, if you can keep the shooter on the outside of the school, kids on the inside of the school are safe.
Now, but do you think there should be anything done with making it more difficult for people like this to grab guns and be able to shoot up schools, or even you said that they would be on the outside of the schools, even prevent that from happening?
Yeah, you know, Rhode Island really has one of the most stringent, one of the most, we have some of the strongest gun purchasing laws. We just have really, really strong. Nobody can just walk into a gun shop and buy a gun. You just can't in Rhode Island. There is a waiting period, there is a background check. What I think we should do is get an attorney general who actually reports names to the criminal background check system. Another thing that I have had some, difficulty with the Attorney General. I asked him, when I first was elected, I realized that I read an article, in fact, that said Rhode Island was not reporting names to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. And I wrote to the Attorney General asking him why not. I got a snarky reply back. So, you know, I went to leadership and I said, we really should be doing something about this. As a result, we developed in the House a system, a process for the courts to report the names of mentally ill to NICS, National Instant Criminal Background Check System. But when I asked the Attorney General just recently, well, how many names are you reporting? He told me it was classified. And I said, no, I don't want the names. I just want to know the number. Classified. I wrote the FBI, and I put in a FOIA request. The FBI told me that we were reporting none. So the names of felon, the names of domestic abusers, the names of fugitives from justice, the names of illegal aliens with weapons, none of those things have been reported by the state of Rhode Island to NICS. The Attorney General may have been reporting them to the state criminal database, but not to the national. Well, criminals move, and if we're really serious about keeping people in the United States safe, we should be reporting them. So I think that there are some real common sense things we can do, like strengthening the NIC system, making sure we have an attorney general who does his job, and actually giving money to schools to make sure that they have good security measures.
Earlier we talked a little bit about the governor. What are your thoughts on Governor Raimoto's job performance over the past 4 years in her administration? How do you think she's been doing?
Well, obviously I'm running against her, and I think she's done a very poor job. I believe that when she got elected, she got some wonderful national press, and I think she checked out of Rhode Island. She has made so many bad decisions that I think have hurt your future, the future of a lot of Rhode Islanders. So I think she's been actually a very poor governor. I don't think her instincts are good. I don't think she really cares that much.
Now, also, what are your thoughts on your more prominent competition at the moment, Mayor Fung?
Well, we talked about it earlier. I actually have read that state police report about Ticketgate, and I am very troubled by his behavior during that. To me, it shows a real character flaw and a leadership deficit when you use pay to play to get elected. So I'm very troubled by that. I'm troubled by the fact that he takes credit for jobs being created in the Garden City area. That Garden City area has been planned for over 20 years. And Alan Fung didn't build Garden City. He didn't build Chapel View. Developers built them. Very smart men who put their money on the line and their expertise on the line and went out and got people who would be tenants in their buildings. Alan Fung didn't do that. Those men did that, and they had been planning it for a long, long time. So, listen, I know that he's running on Cranston, but Cranston is small. I think he's taking credit for things that he didn't do. I also think he's discounting the fact that he uses pay-to-play politics, and I think he would bring that pay-to-play politics right along with him, and I don't think we should tolerate that at the state level. But that's the other thing. He's been dealing with Cranston, and he has been non-existent at the state level. When we were fighting tolls, when we were talking about UHIP, when we were doing all kinds of things, he was quiet. In the last election, he was asked, what do you think about tolls? Well, I keep tolls. But then he must have done a poll and found out that most of the people in the state are against tolls. So now he get rid of them. So what is it? Is he for or against? You can't have both sides of every issue. You actually have to take a stand. You have to let people know what you believe in. I certainly have. You get bold colors with me. I know not everybody's going to agree with me, but they're going to know what I stand for.
Now, my last question I want to ask you is more on a national issue. What are your thoughts on President Donald Trump and his administration, his job performance over the past year and a half or so?
Yep, he's been elected for about that long. So his personality, could be improved. Let's be gentle, it could be better. There are things that I disagree with that he has done, but I think he's done some very good things too. I do believe the tax cuts are helping a lot of people, a lot of families keep more money they get more money from their paycheck. That helps families live better lives. I do think, I'm a stockbroker, so I'm a financial advisor in my real life. That's how I make my money. And I can tell you that people's 401ks have just grown. And a lot of that are the actions that the Trump administration has taken, cutting the red tape and the regulations that were just weighing down our economy. Our economy now is growing at 3%, close to 3%, almost every quarter. In the previous administration, it was an anemic 1%. That makes a difference. I think Rhode Island has been lifted up by the national economy. And that's been good for our state. What I fear is that we haven't done the hard work of reforming the things that are wrong in our state. And unless we do that hard work and cut the regulations and change the bad practices and policies that are weighing down our economy, then we are going to continue to be the first one into a recession and the last one out.
And now,
By the way, I talked about GDP or state gross product. In New England, we have the slowest. We have the slowest economic growth. That's not good.
now you did mention some of the good things that he has reportedly done, but what are your thoughts on a lot of the things that have been said with the investigations with things like Russia and things like everything with Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels and all these things that come out? What are your thoughts on this and how people outside of America may perceive our country based on some of these reports?
Well, I mean, listen, I think he's been a wealthy man who's kind of gotten his way. I mean, I think that's what Stormy Daniels is. He was a married man, and I have a real objection to anybody having an affair outside of their marriage. But, I mean, that's between him and his wife, I think. I think that's what we said when it was President Clinton. It was between him and his wife. Character does make a difference. We said that with President Clinton. I think the same standard applies. That being said, we said it was okay for President Clinton, so why are we not? I mean, we gave President Clinton a pass on it, I think, because he made good decisions that benefited the bulk of the country. Again, I think we have to take each policy as it comes. We have to agree or disagree with the policies as they come out of this White House. I don't agree with all of them, but some of them have been good, and I think we should get credit for that.
Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Okay.
Thank you.